Alright, hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Casey, and today's YouTube reading is all about what is the solution to the current problem that you're going through. So for some of you, maybe this is a major obstacle that's in your way. You're not sure how to get around it. For others, maybe it's more of a mental block that you just can't seem to get over. But whatever that problem is, whatever you are currently suffering from, my goal today is to try to find you the best solutions possible as how to get around this and how to move forward and not be bogged down by whatever this problem is anymore. So today I have 3 different readings for you to choose from. Pile 1 has the Master Manifestor card with the number 10. Pile 2 has the Service card with the number 14. And pile 3 has the Keep Trying card with the number 4. So go ahead and pause, figure out which reading you feel most drawn to. I'll leave timestamps down in the description box below so you can quickly jump to whichever reading that you want to listen to. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, pile 1. If you chose the Master Manifestor card, then this is the reading for you. And right off the bat, just looking at your cards, I can already tell that the major problem that you're going through is a big lack of faith in yourself and your abilities, and even a lack of faith in the universe. I don't know what religion or spirituality that you follow, but me personally, I have a big faith that we're all meant to do, what our heart desires. We're being guided through life to accomplish, what our soul really truly was put on this earth to do. And so for you, I feel like if that was something that you believed in, it's almost like you're lacking of faith in, is that even real? Is there a path for me? Is there a purpose that I'm really meant to go after? I feel like you're questioning everything, and something that you've been having a really hard time with lately is your determination, your perseverance, your ability to keep pushing on. I feel like I kind of relate to this because, I'm doing this YouTube thing, and it's not something I expect to pop off and, go crazy all of a sudden, but it's something that I want to put a lot of effort into. It's something that I care a lot about, and I'm going to continue to do it no matter what, even if it didn't blow up and got a ton of people, it's still something that I want to put effort into every single day. But there are times where I'm like, I've made so many videos and I never see progress. Is it something that's really worth going after? And there's times where I kind of lose faith in myself a little bit. I'm being real. This is something that I deal with. But the thing that helps me get back on track is remembering how much I love doing this. And even just daydreaming about, what if it did end up turning into, a viable career path? And this is something that I could really pursue full time. That's what really allows me to, get back on the wagon and have faith that, even if God or the universe isn't real, I still believe enough in my abilities and my ability to get to where I want to go as long as I persevere and I don't quit. And for you, I feel like you're on a specific path where you're trying to go after something that you want, but it's getting to a point where you're starting to lose faith here and there. You're wondering, can I really make it? Is it worth, finishing this climb that I'm on? And it's you're halfway up the mountain and you're looking and you're I could still turn back. I could still go back down. Look at how much further there is for me to go. But if you put one foot in front of the other, if you don't stop, eventually you are going to get to the top of that mountain. And something that I think that you're really dealing with right now is looking at the life that was laid out for you before. So for example, I'm imagining somebody who, let's say that you're a musician and you want to move to LA to try and make it big and get famous, but you came from a small town where that at home there's a job waiting for you on the farm, and you could turn around and just go back to that at any point. There's going to be a roof over your head. What work is expected of you. The people that are there. You could always turn back and go home. But if you did that, you'd be giving up on your dream and you'd never know how much you could have accomplished. And so for you, I feel like you're looking back at yeah, there is that comfort there is that safety there. I could just fall back on this other job. And it's because you're losing the determination to keep persevering. And something that you need to know is you are still on the right path. You are not being stopped. There is nothing being put in your way to stop you from going down this path because this is what you're meant to do. But the biggest thing stopping right now is the mental block that you have. I don't think that this is a sign that it's time for you to stop or it's time for you to give up or go back home or go back to whatever fallback plan that you had. I truly believe that you are meant to keep going, because these signs here of like, what are your solutions? Your solutions are learning to get past this mental block, of finding ways to get past it. And so what I see here for your two possible solutions to this problem is you have the flow card with the Seven of Swords reversed first. And this one makes me think, this card, to me, when I see the flow card, it's all about just going with the flow of like the direction that the universe is pushing you. You know, if there's a block to your left, go right. If there's a block to your right, go left. And this kind of stems back to like, I don't know what your personal beliefs are. For me, I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. There are no coincidences, and we are being guided. And if that is something that you believe, right now more than ever, it's time for you to cling to those beliefs and truly ask yourself, like, do I truly feel like I'm on the right path? Do I feel like this is the path meant for me? And really tell yourself, like, am I gonna get caught up when there's an obstacle here, or this doesn't work out exactly the way that I planned out? No. You're not meant to give up that easily. And I want to tell you, like, whatever path that you've chosen, you knew going into it, it wasn't going to be sunshine and rainbows. It wasn't going to be easy. It wasn't going to happen right away. But sometimes our mind likes to fantasize and be like, oh, what if it's going to work out. Like, I'm going to shoot up super fast and like gonna get whatever it is that I'm going after. But, you know, we never know what's actually going to happen. We cannot predict the future. But the truth is, as long as you don't stop, as long as you continue to put one foot in front of the other, you can accomplish what you set out to do. But I think for you, recently, maybe you've just been feeling very bogged down. Maybe you've been hitting a bunch of roadblocks. Maybe there's been a bunch of bumps in the road, and you've started feeling like, man, I want to fall off this wagon. Like, I really don't want to keep going. But the biggest thing that you need to hear right now is, instead of focusing on like how far away what you want is or how impossible it seems, allow yourself to imagine the life that you'd live if you could accomplish what you set out to do. Because I feel like that is a big reason why you're going after this thing. Also because you love it, but because of the future that it will allow for you. And something that you need to remember is everything happens for a reason. And just because there's a roadblock doesn't mean that you're being stopped. Sometimes a roadblock just means like this road that you were going down isn't the best way to get to your end goal. Maybe it's going down this alleyway that you didn't even see in the first place, you know? Sometimes it's just the universe redirecting us to a better route. And instead, to you, it seems like, it's the end of this path. There's no more road here. And it's like, no, it's just you need to go down a different road. And so the next two cards that we have here for a solution for you are Ideation and the Two of Pentacles. So what I see here with Ideation, this to me is all about idealizing something, daydreaming about it, fantasizing about it. The biggest thing that's going to pull you out of this rut and pull you out of daydreaming about going to your fallback plan or going back home or, you know, deciding not to go through with whatever this is. The biggest thing that's going to help you is upping your vibes, making you happier, making you want to look towards the future positively. Allow yourself to fantasize about, you know, the things that you'll be able to do when you accomplish your goal. Like, for example, going with like the musician example. That musician who had left home, going to the city that they've never known, you know, going to like LA where everything's really dirty and scary. I hate LA, by the way, but anyways, going to LA where everything's really dirty and scary and like maybe living with a bunch of roommates that you don't know in like a house that's really like crappy because you don't have a lot of money, and you're just thinking like, man, I could be back to clean, fresh air. If I just went back home, I could just work on a farm and I would know what's expected of me. I would have a meal waiting for me at the end of every day, and I wouldn't need to worry about, you know, how I'm gonna make ends meet. If you get stuck in that mindset, thinking of how bad things are right now and thinking of how easy it is to give in and just go back home, of course you're just gonna want to give up. But if you allow yourself to look towards the future instead of the past, and you look towards like, okay, what would happen if I really did make it big? What would happen if I got signed and I could make music for a living? Imagine how happy you would be. Like, you don't need a ton of money, but imagine if you at least had like a comfortable apartment and you got to just wake up every day, and instead of worrying about how you're going to make ends meet, you could just be making music in this comfortable home and just living in the place that you want to live, living out your dream. Allow yourself to fantasize and indulge a little bit in what is waiting for you on the other side of accomplishing what you set out to do. Because when you get really stuck on like just tunnel visioning on the roadblock right ahead of you and the thing that you can't get past and how much easier it would be to just give up, of course you're not going to want to go forward. And I'm somebody who, I don't really necessarily believe in like being delusional and like if you're actually being stopped to not go forward, but if this reading is resonating with you, everything is telling you to keep going forward. And I'm not a big fan of like blinding yourself and being stuck in fantasies and daydreaming, but I feel like you deserve to have a little daydream or two because you've been so stuck in this rut and this doom and gloom and this like nihilism that like it's almost like you're losing your reason why. And I think you're somebody that had a very strong reason as to why you're going down this path. And so what you really need to do is connect back to why you're doing it. Connect to why you love this thing that you're doing and connect back to what's waiting for you on the other side instead of zoning in on the past and the easy way out, because that's something that our ego loves to do, is zone in on the easy way out. But right now, you need to stick to that determination. What it reminds me of is like, I don't know if you've ever seen that picture online. It was like a comic that somebody created where on top it's like this guy with this like this pickaxe and he's mining for diamonds, and it's like he gave up at the last second, and you see like right on the other side of the wall, like if he had just kept going a little bit more, he would have reached those diamonds, versus there's another guy who's like not slowing down, continuing to be determined, and he reaches those diamonds. And it really reminds me of like, as long as you don't stop, as long as you don't quit, you can get to your goal eventually. Like, I know I'm still just like going on and on, but I truly believe that this is what you're meant to do. And the biggest thing that's blocking you right now is not external factors. Like, instead of looking at all the things around you stopping you or slowing you down as things that are trying to make you stop this path, look at them as like, okay, I'm being redirected for a good reason, but it's not a reason to stop. I truly believe that you are following your life's purpose right now, and you're meant to make it happen. And so finally, the card from the beginning that you chose was the Master Manifestor card. I believe it's a crow. I'm not sure if it's a crow or a raven. And there's also a spider on here. So those could be some important symbols for you. Keep an eye out for them. But I'm going to read you this passage about what this card is about. And this is advice directly from your spirit guides. So, it's a raven. Okay. There are ravens in LA. I don't know why I was talking about LA, but there are ravens up there, which is kind of weird. You'd think it's weird that there'd be like a big ass wild bird in LA, but I went to like the Getty Museum and it was like way up on a hill and there were some big ass ravens up there. But anyways, all right. Number 10. Raven lived a lonely life in the dark abyss of the universe with only one other creature, Spider. Anytime Spider crawled to Raven, Raven would freeze in terror, and Spider would sadly crawl away, for she did not want to scare Raven. Often, you could find Raven gazing into the endless universe and dreaming about creating the world. Everything in his heart wanted to experience so much more, but he just didn't know how to create it. One day, Spider saw Raven projecting his dream into the universe. Spider crawled up to Raven, and as usual, Raven froze in fear. Spider sadly looked up to Raven, suffocating in his fear, and right before Spider was about to dart away, she decided to use her voice. She said, "Dear Raven, I know you do not trust me, but I can help you." Raven seemed to snap out of his hypnotic state of terror for a moment and looked down at Spider. "I can weave your dream into existence," said Spider. It was at this moment that Raven understood. Not only did he have to befriend his fear, who was Spider, but that his fear is what held the gift to allow him to manifest his dream. Once Raven could accept and deeply love all aspects of himself, one being the spider, who represented his fear, he then was able to become the ultimate magician, the Master Manifestor. Raven's medicine says, when you honor all aspects of your being, you become whole. Wholeness equates to self-love, and your wholeness supercharges your magnetism to attract and create. When you befriend the painful parts of your personality, you will find that they are the ones that hold the secrets that allow you to fully step into your purpose. So, that basically sums up everything that I just said. You need to get rid of this fear and remember what you're truly going after. Remember what's at the end of that tunnel waiting for you. And try not to fall back on those fears. Try not to fall back on, going towards the past and going towards things that you know aren't really going to make you happy. Maybe it's scary right now, maybe you're not sure what to expect, but it's all part of this journey that is eventually going to get you to what you want. You just have to be determined, you just got to persevere, and I promise you, If you don't quit, you win. Like, tell yourself that over and over again. If you don't quit, you win. Keep going. You know, maybe it's dark right now, but I promise you, things can only look up. So, pile 1, that is everything that I have for you. I truly wish you the best in your journey. I know that you can accomplish whatever you set out to do. But thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. Okay, pile 2. If you chose the service card with the number 14, then this is the reading for you. Now, I want to just say, I think that this is going to be a very specific reading for a very specific type of person. So if this doesn't sound like it resonates with you, you might want to go back to the beginning and choose a different pile. Because I'm specifically getting that this reading, it really feels like it's meant for a parent. Like specifically somebody with children, or it could be anybody who your problem is kind of surrounding family issues. But it really does seem like it's meant for a parent specifically, because it feels like there's a lot of responsibility falling on you to ensure that in order for your family to remain cohesive and together, and it requires effort from you, which I feel like that usually wouldn't fall on a child. It would usually fall on the parent, and I'll get more in detail into what I'm seeing here and explain how I'm getting that message, but I just wanted to get that out right away so that you know, like, oh, I'm not a parent, like, this must not be the pile for me. So, starting off, the current problem that you're facing is you have the caution card and the 10 of cups, and to me, the caution card is quite literally like a yellow light. When you, well, at least in America, I assume that there's red, yellow, and green everywhere, but the yellow light is all about like, whoa, slow down, something's about to go wrong, there's something that needs to be taken care of, or like you need to slow down a little bit and really look around and address the current problem. And with the 10 of cups, this card is all about family. I literally call this card like the happy family card. And so with the caution card clarifying the family card, it's like you need to slow down and address a real problem that's just under the surface right now for you and your family, because if this goes unaddressed, if this doesn't get fixed, it could lead to some major problems with you and your family. It could lead to something breaking that will take a long time to rebuild, and it's best to address it right now. So what I see here are some solutions on how to address this, but to me, I feel like, gosh, I'm afraid to get too in detail because I feel like it's different for everybody, but it could look like something like, yeah, I'm hesitant to give any analogies because I feel like everybody's problem is slightly different, but I'll give you one example. So, sorry, my iPad keeps going off. Let me turn that off. Okay, sorry about that. One example that comes to mind is like, and I'm not saying that this is you, but imagine like a dad who has cheated on his wife, and now the whole family is in shambles. There's talks about divorce, there's talks about things falling apart, the children not trusting the father anymore. It's like everything is like deteriorating. That is when you're kind of in crisis mode. That's when things need to be addressed. Things need to be handled very delicately, and a lot of effort needs to be put into this rather than anything else, or else things might really fall apart. Now, another example that I'm getting is, you know, maybe a parent who devotes themselves entirely to work, entirely to their job. And, you know, they think that they're doing what's right. They're putting in a lot of effort to take care of their family. But at one point, it gets past the point of like just taking care of your family and gets into your family feeling like they're being neglected. Now, again, I just want to point out that these are just analogies as to like the kinds of situations that I feel might resonate, but doesn't necessarily need to be your exact situation. But what I'm seeing here is there are specifically some issues regarding family that if they are not resolved, it could lead to these relationships having some very lasting issues that not only affect the children and their development and how they go through life, but how they view you, or, you know, how your partner views you, or the relationship dynamics in your entire family. And so it's really being brought to your attention right now because I don't know if you realize just how serious this is. Like, I feel like this needed to be brought to your attention because maybe there's some alarm bells going off, like the kids are acting weird, or like my partner's kind of mad at me. But you need to realize, like, okay, for example, there's this movie where it's about this couple, this man and this wife, and I never watched it, but I know the premise was like she wanted a divorce, and the husband was like, I don't understand, it's because I didn't do my laundry. Like, I'll do the laundry. And then she's like, no, it's because you never do your laundry. It's because you never clean up. It's because you never listen to me. You never buy me flowers. You never do this and this and this. And it's like, that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. And it's because the husband never paid attention. And I guess you could say, like, well, maybe the wife should have brought it up. But at the same time, what it boils down to is there's a lot of underlying issues when it comes to you and a relationship or relationships around you that if they're not resolved, it could lead to that point being like, I want a divorce. And it's like, why? Because of this one little thing? And it's like, no, it's because of years and years of little things building up. So this isn't the kind of reading I was expecting. Hopefully this doesn't freak anybody out. I mean, keep in mind, if this doesn't sound like you, it's probably not you. But it might be, good to take a really good look around you, communicate with your loved ones and see, like, is there anything I'm doing wrong? Is there anything that needs to be fixed right now? Because, I feel like a lot of time people don't communicate until it blows up in your face, until it's like one big thing. And then it's hard to have, stable, healthy communication when it's just fueled by emotions and hurt and pain. So anyways, getting into the solutions now, you have Comfort and the Eight of Pentacles. The thing that really made me think that it's apparent is these two cards, because the Comfort and the Eight of Pentacles is all about like building up and really working on something, like working diligently to perfect something. And so with the Comfort card, I almost imagine like a dad that's never really given comfort to their children, never really known how to properly comfort them. And because of that, not only do the kids not really know how to receive love and comfort, but they don't even know how to ask for it. They don't know how to bridge that gap, and suddenly they feel so far away, both physically and emotionally, from their parent, and they don't really properly know how to connect to them. And so what that necessitates is the parent really coming in and showing that they want to put an effort in, and not just doing it once, but doing it over and over and over again until it's built up that stability, until it's built that rapport. It's like, okay, I have another example. Let's say like a parent missed their kid's birthday. It's gonna take building a lot of trust for that kid to trust that you are going to be there for the next one. Or let's say it like happened over and over again. It's gonna require you being there at every single birthday, at every single event, for them to actually fully trust you. Because it's like, that Lady Gaga and Beyonce music video, I think it was for Telephone, where at one point Beyonce is like looking in the rear view mirror after like Lady Gaga betrayed her or whatever, and she's like, the thing about betrayal is like, it's a crack in the mirror. The mirror can be fixed, but you're always going to see that darn crack or whatever. So like, it kind of reminds me of that, where it's like, it's been cracked. Yeah, you can put it back together, but you're always going to remember that there was that betrayal or there was that hurt. And all you can do is mend it over and over and over again, but it's still never going to be forgotten. And so I feel like if this is a relationship that you truly want to mend, somebody that you really care about and you really want to show them that you care, it's going to require you making them the priority. Not just being like, okay, I'll put a weekend aside and I'll like be there for you, I'll comfort you. It's like, no, they are your priority above all else. Like if you need to cancel things, if you need to move the schedule around, you need to show them that they are your priority above all else, because if you don't, you might as well not try. And finally, here we have the Strength card and the World card. And this is a very interesting combination to me, because when you see the Strength card, I feel like a lot of people immediately jump to like physical strength or like never showing weakness. But I think, like, okay, I'm going to get a little bit personal here. My parents they're great parents. I love them very much. But they always raised me wanting to give me and my brother like a ton of space. They wanted us to never feel obligated to spend time with them. They always wanted us to feel like we could stand on our own 2 feet, like we could hang out with our friends if we wanted to, because they had the opposite of that, where they were constantly controlled. And so they thought that they were giving us the childhood that we would want because it's the childhood that they wanted. But in reality, it ended up swinging the pendulum the way opposite way, where it's like, we suddenly felt like they didn't want to spend time with us, or like we felt like instead of independence, it's like we were just on our own. And so what this makes me think, if you are a parent, you need to ask your kid, like, what is your love language? What is the way that you want to be loved? What is the way that you want to be raised and taken care of? Not just thinking about the way that you wanted to be raised, because those feelings are not universal. You know, the way that you think you're raising them right, or the way that you think that you're treating them right, isn't necessarily what they want. Like, maybe it's right for you, but it's not necessarily right for them. And so the strength card, it almost makes me think like you think strength is like being tough, but to them, being strong is to be vulnerable. To be strong is to know when to ask people, what is the right way to love you, rather than doing it the way that you think is right. Being strong for them, like going back to the working constantly example, like you think you're being a good parent and doing right by them by working extremely hard, putting in extreme amount of hours, when all along all they wanted to do is have you there in time to have dinner with them, or be there on the days that were special to them, or be able to spend time with you. Like, they didn't need all the money and all the fancy gifts, they just want you. And so with the World card, finally, the World card is the last card in the major arcana, and this card is all about, it's the end of the Fool's journey. The Fool card is like the carefree, childlike, and they're like wielding all this power, but they don't know how to properly use it. And so they go through this journey where they fall off the cliff, and they go through this long learning process of how to actually understand the world and understanding wisdom. And the World card is them, now they have all this wisdom, but they also have the childlike energy where they can still wield that power, but it's not like they're bogged down by life and by pain and desires, etc., etc. So it's kind of hard to explain, but the World card is, you have all the wisdom, you know the responsibility that parenthood takes, or that these responsibilities require. You know everything that you're meant to do, and yet you still need to be able to connect back to the comfort. You have to balance and understand the childlike energy. Like, if I was imagining this in the role of a parent, it's somebody who understands the ugliness of life. They know all their responsibilities. They know what the world demands of them. But at the end of the day, they can still come home and they can play princess dress up with their kids, or like they can sit down and watch like those like stupid little kids TV shows. It's all about balance. It's about balancing all sides of things, not just leaning so far to one side where you neglect responsibility, or leaning so hard to the other side where you're so responsible that you're not loving. You need to have that perfect balance of child and adult, Now, I feel like this was all very specific, so if I am speaking to a parent, I think that the biggest piece of advice that I can give you, especially, as a child myself, as somebody who's just barely growing up, I'm not a parent yet, but if I had to give you a piece of advice, is to communicate with your child about the way that they want to be loved. Not about what you think is right, because I feel like the easiest thing to fall back on is like, well, I was raised this way and I didn't like that, or I did like this, so I'm going to integrate this into how I want to raise my kid. But I feel like people forget that kids are still very intelligent creatures. You can have, good conversations with them about deep topics and they can understand them. You can ask them like, what's your love language? What makes you feel loved? Does a hug make you feel loved? Do gifts make you feel loved? Or do you prefer quality time? Like, what way do you want to spend the weekend together? What way do you want to spend time together? Do you want to be spending more time together, or do you want to be more independent? Really figure out what they need, because every child is different. And the way that you raise them, if you can't communicate about these things, it could end up breaking certain things, and then they grow up feeling like they were unloved, or feeling like they weren't loved right, or feeling like they were too burdened or bogged down, and it's a balancing act. And I feel like something that you also need to know is nobody gets it perfect. Even the great parents, still their kids grow up in some way feeling like, God, I wish that this was different. But I feel like you also need to hear, like, you don't have to be too hard on yourself. I feel like you're trying to do your best the way that you know how. And it's good, like, it shows that you care, it shows that you're really trying, but it's time to try in the way that they need, not in the way that you think is right. Because I hate to break it to you, but you don't know everything, and I want you to know that this message comes from a place of love. And if you're hearing this and coming across this message, it's because it's time for you to make this change for your family, for the best, because it seems like things cannot keep going the way that they're going without a change, without proper communication, or else, some things can't be undone, but it's never too late to fix the way that things are going. You know what I'm trying to say? So finally, we have the card that you chose from the beginning, and this is a piece of advice that I'm going to read to you from the what's this called? Guidebook. So you have number 14, service. Seeing eye dog. This card image focuses on a seeing eye dog, which exemplifies the concept of selfless service, as they dedicate their entire existence to being guides for others. Off the bat, like, talk about being like a parent guides for others. Like, that's the entire role of a parent. Anyways, when a seeing eye dog is assisting a blind person, their purpose becomes one. This oneness reflects what the world is in dire need of: service. Second to suffering, service is the next best vehicle to tame the ego, jumpstart your growth, blossom into yourself, and get over the painful experience. The wounded healer, an archetype conceived by Carl Jung, speaks of a person who becomes healed by being of service to others. When receiving the medicine of the seeing eye dog, you understand that service will always lead to some form of success. This is not the superficial understanding of material success, which is based on popularity, looks, status, or the amount of money in your bank account. Long-lasting and eternal success create an energy that can never be destroyed. This is the energy that is created when we are of service to others, everlasting spiritual wealth. Service is a conductor of blessings, both in this life and hereafter. It acts as a magnet for profound personal blessings and eternal success. When we are truly selfless, we begin to align with the nature of our existence. We recognize that we are all connected, and essentially, the entirety of the multiple universes and ourselves are all one. This harmony and reality attracts hidden gifts produced by our alignment. Seeing Eye Dog's medicine shares that a blessing is approaching through your selfless acts. Dedicate yourself to some form of service to another. Your acts of service will be felt and noticed. Success will follow. Seeing Eye Dog's medicine is to help yourself by helping another. So I feel like another point that you could take away from that is if you yourself have not been feeling good, you've been burying yourself in work or like other things, other distractions because you can't figure out why you feel so bad. Sometimes the root pain that we're feeling can be solved or can be healed by serving others. I feel like one of the things in the world that makes me feel best, or makes you feel best, makes anybody feel best, is being of service to somebody else. Knowing that we serve a purpose to help them, that we are of value to them. And I feel like there's no greater value than you can be to somebody than by being their guide, by helping them. And especially if you're a parent. And if you've not been feeling good, you've been burying yourself in work, or you've been drinking or distracting yourself or trying to entertain yourself with all these other things, I think the purest way that you could actually heal or actually feel better is by being of value, of being of service, especially to somebody that you love. I feel like you'll walk away from an experience where you've helped somebody or you've given value to another person feeling 10 times better than you would if you had had a drink, or if you had, I don't know, gone and distracted yourself or hung out with other people, or, whatever it is that you're seeking. It's like there's a deep pain within you that wants to be healed, and you look in all these other areas instead of what's right in front of you. Somebody else that needs to be healed. By healing each other, you're lifting each other up and doing so much better than simply distracting yourself from the pain. So, pile 2, that is everything that I have for you. I really hope that this reached the person that needed it. And I say person because I feel like it is such a unique and specific reading. I really don't think that it would be meant for a ton of people, but I hope that if it did find you, you can take this message to heart and really mend whatever this relationship is. And so I truly wish you the best in that endeavor. I hope that you can solve this problem that you're going through. But that is everything that I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. All right, pile 3, last but certainly not least. If you chose the Keep Trying card, then this is the reading for you. Now, I want to say I've been staring at your reading for quite a while, and I could not figure out what it was for like the life of me, but I think I finally landed on it. I know what it's about now, but... So, you had a lot more cards falling out than any other pile, but I'm going to do my best to go over everything. So, what we have today here with your current problem, you have 4 cards coming out instead of just 2, which I think speaks a lot to like your current environment, feeling like there's a lot of different people involved in your life, a lot of different opinions, a lot of different people trying to sway you this way or the other, a lot of different responsibilities, a lot of different things popping up here and there, and it all feels like it's slowing you down or stopping you from going after what you really want. So the first two cards that came out for you here, you have frustration and passion. And with the passion card, I feel like that is the simplest thing about all of this, is you know what you're passionate about, you know what you want to go after in this life. I feel like you have a very clear vision of like what your purpose is or just what makes you really happy. For some reason, art is coming to mind, but it doesn't necessarily need to be something artistic. It could be like creative, but not necessarily in like the traditional sense of like painting or photography. It could be like this, like content creation is something that's creative. But it's something that you care a lot about. I think that there's a specific passion, something that you really want to go after in life, but it just feels like there's so many different things stopping you. Or if they're not actively trying to stop you, it's like slowing you down. It's like there's just delay after delay. Like for instance, imagine like you're about to move out and pursue whatever this is. But right before you move out, it's like your mom comes up to you and she's like, "Oh, can you delay your moving out because I have these people coming over and they really like to see you." And then it's like, "Okay." And so you do that, and then it's like you delay that, and then you're like, "Okay, I'm finally gonna move out now." And then your dad comes up to you and he's like, can you not move out? I need some help for a little bit. And like, it would be really inconvenient. And I feel like it's just time for you to prioritize yourself. Like, I know it sounds selfish, and it doesn't mean that you don't care about these people. It doesn't mean that you don't want to be there for them. But it can be too much sometimes when you're there for people so much that you're not there for yourself, or that you have to keep putting off your dreams, and that's not something that you deserve to have to do. And so with the Ten of Pentacles and the Ace of Swords also being here under, what your problems are, I feel like the Ace of Swords is like you really know what you want to go after. You want to do it. Like the Ace of Swords is all about action and drive and like making things happen. But with the Ten of Pentacles, the Ten of Pentacles is a positive card. It reminds me of family and abundance, but sometimes too much abundance is like, too much of anything is too much. Like, it's great having family, it's great being around them, but I just get the sense that it really feels like they're holding you back. And it's like, when I look at this card, yeah, there's an abundance of money, there's like dogs and children and family all around, but it's like there's no room for movement in this card. Like, every inch of the card is used up by imagery, and there's no space for you to explore and go after what you want. And so I think the biggest problem facing you right now is you're ready to move forward with your life. You're ready to be independent. You're ready to take your life in the direction that you want to. But it's like there's just so many responsibilities coming up. If it's like it's work or it's friends or it's family or it's this or that or this responsibility, and it's like it's just too much noise, and it's honestly, it's stopping you. It's holding you back. And like I said, it's not that you hate these people or you don't want to help them. It's not like you don't like not being around them, but you need time and space to develop who you want to be. It's time for you to explore and find out what you really want to do with your life. And I think like you have the passion card. It makes me think that there's a clear idea of what you want to pursue and what you want to do, but you need some damn space to be able to explore it. And like it feels like there's no space for you to do so. And so the solutions that we have here, you have the mystery card with the Six of Cups. And I feel like it's just time for you to go. Like, it's time for you to go. Like, if it's college that you've been trying to do, or a new town that you want to move to, or just living out on your own, the mystery card makes me think, like, you don't have to have every single detail laid out for you to just get up and go. Like, yeah, it'll be a little scary, it'll be kind of unknown, but that's the whole point of, like, you discovering your own path, is not having people lay it out for you, not having people tell you which way to go or which place to live. It's about finding that mystery, figuring it out for yourself, being the only one that you have to rely on and listen to, which I feel like is going to be a huge flip from what you've been used to. But what you've been used to has the frustration card, and I feel like you're just getting so frustrated with not having your own space, not having the ability to go after what you want to go after, being constantly stopped with all these different responsibilities. And with the mystery card, yeah, you're on your own. Yeah, it's a little unknown, but there will be so much free space, so much independence. You could go in any direction that you want to, and it will be so freeing. But at the same time, freedom is a little scary. Like, yeah, you have freedom, you can go in any direction, but then you start worrying like, oh, but what if it's the wrong direction? Or what if I get lost? Or yada, yada, yada. And so another solution here that I think will greatly help you is having a mentor of some kind is what came to me initially, but now I'm almost thinking like an older sibling or an older friend, maybe even like a cousin, somebody who's really cool, somebody that you know isn't like gonna try and control you, somebody that you can go to for advice and like who did the whole thing of like being independent on their own. Because when you go out there in the world and you're really unsure and you're not sure like, oh, how do taxes work, or how do I pay my rent, what do I need to show these people, you need to have at least one person that can kind of mentor you through life, you know? And it would also help if it's somebody who's kind of interested in the same thing that you want to pursue. But I really do see like one of the biggest things that'll help you is having somebody who has done it before, that knows their way around. Not so many people that they're trying to control you and trying to tell you what to do, but somebody that you can go to and you're like, hey, I don't really know what I'm doing with this thing. Like, what should my next steps be? Like, just somebody that you can reach out to like that. A mentor, not somebody who's trying to hold you down and stop you and slow you down. And finally, you have the rejection card and the temperance card. And I think that this is a sign that as you go along this journey, you need to know that it's not all gonna work out right away. Everybody hits bumps in the road. There's always gonna be times where you fall down, but the biggest thing that's most important is having patience, allowing yourself the grace to figure things out. It's like, okay, I have an analogy. I'm always coming up with analogies. But like, imagine that there's like a baby bird in the nest, and it's a super crowded nest. You never really got to learn how to fly because you couldn't even really stretch out your wings. And then finally one day you're like, you know what? I'm getting the hell out of here. And you just like fall out. And it's like you didn't really know how to fly right away, and now you're on the ground and you're not quite sure what to do. But now you have the space to figure it out. And it would help if you had like an older bird sibling that already kind of knew how to fly, and you could be like, hey, what am I supposed to do with these wings? And they're like, oh yeah, you just flap them. And then, slowly but surely you get on your feet. But it requires you getting out of that nest. Even if you hit the ground, even if like you fly for a little bit and then you fall back down, getting your own space, learning how to walk on your own 2 feet or fly with your own 2 wings, for example, that is what's going to best help you out. And the rejection card really makes me think that as you go along this journey, there are going to be things that don't work out. Like, I need you to hear up front, you are going to hit roadblocks and obstacles. It's not going to be perfect, but it is all going to work out in the end. Have faith that, everything is happening for a reason. If there was a roadblock, it's just a sign that you weren't meant to go in that specific direction, but it doesn't mean that you just need to fly back home and go to the nest, because it's time for you to be independent. You got to figure it out on your own. And like I said, don't be afraid to reach out for help. I think having somebody that can be a mentor for you while you're on your own is going to help out a ton. Really surround yourself with people that, aren't necessarily going to control you or force their opinions on you, but people that you feel secure around. Like, there's an example of like, the people that you surround yourself with are the people that you become. If you're constantly surrounded by people that are not self-sufficient, people that are not independent, don't know how to think for themselves, you're going to end up being like that. But if you surround yourself with people that want to uplift each other, but also want to give each other the space to learn how to lift themselves up, you're going to be one of the most self-sufficient, independent people. So when you go out there on your own, try to surround yourself with people like that. Like I said, if you have like an older sibling who's like really chill and would love to help you out, but also not stifle you, reach out to them. I think that you're absolutely going to succeed so much, but the biggest hurdle that you need to get over right now is your fear of leaving the nest and like, what happens after. Because I think it's going to be really scary, There's all this mystery, not knowing what's up and what's down. It's all so different and you're alone and it's kind of scary, but everybody has to go through that, and it's your turn to leave the nest. And so the final card that we have here is the one that you chose at the beginning, and it's the Keep Trying card with the number 4. And this one has starfish on it. So, I don't know, maybe starfish are a significant animal to you. Maybe it could be a sign that you end up living by the beach someday, or, beach town. And there's 4 of them, so the number 4 could be important to you. But this one is called Keep Trying, number 4, the starfish. So, the medicine of this card speaks of wishes being granted, but also the understanding that you will have to try again and again to receive what you desire. The process of trial and error will lead you to fulfillment. There is a story of a young maiden who prayed and prayed to the stars to heal her so she could fully serve her purpose. She tried everything but failed to ever feel whole. One day, the young maiden received a starfish from the stars. She thought to herself, "This must be what will heal me." The young maiden inspected the starfish, sang to the starfish, and danced with the starfish, in hopes that it would heal her, but nothing happened. As a last resort, she took a small bite of the starfish's arm. Still, nothing happened. The young maiden cried out to the stars and cursed them for her inability to be healed. She fell to her knees and begrudgingly threw the starfish into the pond before her. As she wept in despair, her gaze fell upon the starfish subtly moving in the waters. As she watched it regrow the arm she had taken a bite of, the medicine of the starfish was revealed to her. It was at this very moment she had a deep expansion of consciousness. By witnessing the starfish regenerate, she understood the message from the stars. She could heal herself. The ability to do this was not outside of herself, it was always within. This was when the young maiden began to heal. Whether you are healing, manifesting, or creating a meaningful relationship, Starfish's medicine is to keep trying. Understand that all you deem to be failures lead you closer to the right action. If the young maiden didn't take multiple approaches, she would have never been led to the answers that lied within. So pile 3, that is everything that I have for you. I really hope that this reading found you when you needed the most. I hope it brought you some clarity, and I truly wish you the best on your journey. I think you're at a very exciting place in life, finally getting to figure out what you want to be, what you want to do, and where you want to go. So yeah, it's scary, but also allow yourself to feel that excitement, because I think it's a really amazing time in your life, and it's something that you only get to do for the first time once. So allow yourself to do it with grace. Remember, if you fall down, don't berate yourself too much. Everybody falls down. You just gotta learn to pick yourself back up, dust yourself off, and keep going. So, pile 3, that is everything that I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.